Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. The second part of our new discussion about reminding you about who we are, how we are put together, and to know a little bit more about this magnificent machine that we have, which most of us don't know much about it, yet we have been able to produce and invent and advance technologies and the lifestyles and comfort and so on in this world, yet we have not much knowledge of what we are all about, who is responsible for all these advancements. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that. And who are we in short? This is not going to be a detailed discussion because we've had detailed discussion of consciousness, thoughts, fear, desire, ego, pleasure, order, mechanical process, material process, motive, and all this in other videos in detail. But this here, we just want to touch about the whole group of it to kind of remind you of who we are, who you are in your case. Well, let's talk about the relationship between consciousness and thoughts. Well, it's similar to chicken and the egg. Is a thought coming from the consciousness? In other words, consciousness is the watcher and the controller of thoughts, what our thoughts are all about, how they're born, or is there something else to it? So let's examine it. Well, I guess we can go back thousands of years ago at the beginning of when human being realized that he's a human being or she's a human being and started noticing the ability of reasoning and the things that he could understand and do. So if you go that far back, that when, let's say, the caveman just came out of the cave and said, oh, there's outside. So let's figure out what this is all about. So he doesn't know much. It's like a new computer you bought and it's got no programming, but it's got some basic operating program in there. But there's still no specific apps or programs to do certain things. So let's look at it that way. So it comes out the cave and happens to be walking around, instinct says, well, I'm hungry, let's say, just making things up. Come along, play the game. Let's explore it together. And you there, me here, just think about it while I talk. Don't just listen to me. Just think about the process, where we're going with it. So let's say he comes out and he feels one of the sensations or one of the instincts that he has, which is food. I'm hungry. So doesn't know much, but perhaps figures out something looks like, I don't know, red delicious or red different colors hanging from a tree, perhaps looks inviting. So he goes towards it, can't reach it. Maybe he tries to climb the tree, and perhaps he puts his foot on one of the branches and the branch breaks and he falls. When it falls, it kind of twists his ankle or falls on the ground and hurts his knee. So what happened? There was an action here. The action was trying to go climb the tree or put his foot on this branch, the action. And the branch broke, fell down, the action. From that action, his knee hurts, his ankle twisted. He got an experience that maybe this branch wasn't so solid enough. It broke, so maybe I should not have gone on it. Or whatever he learns. Or perhaps he was just walking toward the tree with all those little goodies hanging from it and slipped on a wet surface of, let's say, I don't know, jungle or grass. I don't know what it was there. So the action was slipping and he learned maybe from that action an experience of falling, and from that perhaps noticed that it was not as dry as the other places, didn't have a good grip. Knowledge from the action, experience of falling, then delve into it, maybe a knowledge of that experience. That experience became knowledge to him, become something that he learned, is now known, and that knowledge was recorded in his brain, in his memory, in his consciousness, because that has nothing to do with him. We are a recording machine, 24/7, we record. So action, experience of falling, the learning of it, the knowledge, recorded. And then few other things, such as, I don't know, maybe trying to hunt an animal and figures out things, that actions that maybe picks up a rock and throws and figures out from that action his arm hurt or whatever. That perhaps that was the end of his baseball careers, I don't know. But anyhow, from different things that he does, these actions gives him certain experience. From that experience, he learns something, the knowledge is recorded. From a bunch of these things that he does at that time and recorded in his memory, there is now a field, which we call it a field of the known, accumulating all those things that is now known to him, recorded in that field. We call it the field of the known. From that field of the known, the things that he has learned, the knowledge he has gained, and now he is able to bring a thought based on the knowledge. Let's say he says, I gotta go get that food or that fruit, but then thinks about, oh, I gotta put my foot on a different branch, let's say, a thinking. That thinking is based on the knowledge is recorded in his consciousness. So a thought is being created from the consciousness, which is accumulations of actions, experiences, knowledge, and knowledge recorded in that field, and from that field, a possibility of new thinking. A thought was born. From that new thought, obviously, it's supposed to do something for him. Otherwise, at that time, why would he think of something that is not going to turn something, bring something for him, that he would be convenient for him or give him food or mean something to him, have some benefit to him. So from that thought that he expects something to happen, a new action comes about. From that new action, which came from that new thought, which came from those stuff that was recorded in his memory, from that thought, new action brings new experience, whatever that action is. From that experience, new knowledge. From that knowledge, again, they record it in the memory. So it goes continuously from that whole, again, new information, accumulation of all that, new thought, new action, experience, knowledge, and recorded. And that's how consciousness is filled with all kinds of information, whether it's learning how to put a bunch of things together or make fire or, I don't know, eventually build a building, an aircraft and all that. All that information all comes from thoughts, action, experience, knowledge, recorded, and collectively can help him to come up with new thoughts and so on, and constantly this cycle continues. So we can conclude that whatever we think comes from our consciousness, the field of the known. So the watcher, the controller of our thoughts, is the contents of the consciousness, is the consciousness. So the consciousness is the watcher, and our thoughts are the watched. The consciousness is the controller, and our thoughts are controlled by the controller, the consciousness. Thoughts are being controlled by the availability of information that exists in the field of the known, the consciousness. So the consciousness is dictating what thought is supposed to be next or born. But is that the conclusion, the correct conclusion? Because we can question, well, if the controller, the consciousness, is controlling the thoughts, how the consciousness was put together? By thoughts. It was the thoughts that was born in the consciousness, which led to action and experience and knowledge, and the knowledge was recorded, which shaped the consciousness. So is it not the thought that actually created the consciousness? That we now say the consciousness is creator of the thoughts, but in fact the thought originally were the ones who created the consciousness. So the consciousness really is redundant. It's all thoughts. The thoughts that are created. So only the difference is that at the beginning, the basics information had nothing to do with the thoughts. Had to do with our instinct, that it was like that operating system in the computer, which made it capable, made it possible for us to give it new programming. And those new programmings were the thoughts, which we use some of the information that was basically there in the operating system, in the consciousness, and then the rest of it was created through action, experience, knowledge, and recorded, and so on and so forth. And of course, every one of those new programmings, the thoughts, brought about some other products or results, which was helpful to expand the memory, expand the knowledge of the computer, expand the consciousness, the knowledge in the consciousness, which then helped new thoughts to be born from it. So we're, I guess, all interrelated and helped each other to become whatever it is that we use it today. Now, so we talked about that relationship. What about fear? Well, fear, there are all kinds of fear. The fear of the wild animal attacking us, fear of bus running over us if we're not careful, the fear of a dangerous situation, a fear of what the neighbor says about us, a fear of the exam we have tomorrow, a fear of, do I make enough money, a fear of not having money for food, a fear of losing my job, a fear of my girlfriend leaving me, fear of the wife leaving the husband, or the vice versa, a fear of reputation, a fear of how people think of me, all kinds of fear. But let us go and not discuss the fear of the wild animals or the bus is about to hit you because, well, you just got to move out of the way or escape. That's not the fear we're talking about. We're talking about all the other kind of fear. And how is that fear born? If you think about it, there is no such thing as fear. Not the kinds that we just talked about, the other kinds, not the wild animal and danger situation and so on. But in reality, the fear is created based on when we decide to compare what it was with what it is and what it will be. When you start comparing, that's when you realize there's something that could cause a change in your emotions, which is called worry and fear. Let's say I I had a stomach ache last night. Maybe something you ate, you had a stomach ache. Then you say, but I feel better now. But I wonder how it feel tonight or tomorrow. So what happened? When you compare what it was, stomach pain, to what it is and what it could be, you create fear. At the same time, you create time. What it was, what it is, you create time. Because we didn't know what time was at the beginning, But when he started thinking about how things were, like I had a hut that I was living in and it just, it rained or wind blew it away. So what it was, what it is now, I can see from that to this, which was creation of time, which was done by thought. And let's say last night an animal attacked our little village. I wonder if there would be another attack by the cougar or the lion or whatever it is tonight. See, when I compare what it was, what it could be today, or what it is, or what it could be tomorrow, then I'm creating a fear. So in other words, if we can understand the roots of all these, we can see the roots of it all is in our thoughts. Creating time, creating fear by comparing, all that is, we are responsible for it. Perhaps we can learn from that and diminish all these anxieties, fears, and so on that we feel, which when we realize most of it is our own creation. These are, again, remember, short talks about these topics, because the elaboration of it, we have many videos on fear and so on, you can go on. We're just touching on this as a reminder, if somebody wants to simply watch this video instead of the individual ones that we have done. But for more elaborate discussion on fear, on time, and all these, please go and just type in fear, or type in time, or type in thinking. What is thinking? I have four-part videos just on thinking, or what is consciousness. These are all having their own videos. So we're just here having a chat, not so deep. So the next one that we want to talk about is desire. How is desire born? Well, desire is born through sensories. Let's see, you see a beautiful horse from the distance, and you say, wow, what a beautiful horse. So far so good, you recognize that's a horse. So you go further, closer. And when you go closer, so your eyesight connected with that horse, and you were interested in it, you're there to see horses. So your eyesight connected with it, and then you go closer. Now you can actually hear the sound of the running the horse, or smell the area where the horses are. Now the sensor is coming to the picture. Now they're having a say into that whole experience. And until you get closer to the horse, and it's right in front of you, the horse looks at you. Now the energy exchange. And then you pat the horse. Now you touch the horse. Now as soon as you touch the horse, or you sit on the horse, then you start, all your sensors help you to see how it feels to be on this horse. And then the thought jumps in and gets a hold of all those senses, the smell, the touch, the sight, what you saw the horse, the fact that you're sitting on it and you're touching it, takes all those sensories and turn them into an image. The image of you riding this horse, competing some competition, and seeing yourself riding, all geared up, and enjoying yourself with some outing or with some parkour you're trying to negotiate and jump over, see yourself in some kind of competition, how your friends will look at you, what they would say. You see all these images, and that's when the image is created, the desire is born. Now you say, I want this horse. I want to buy it. I want to own it. I want to have it. So if you can separate or stop the sensories to be hijacked or used by thoughts to be turned into an image, then you will be away from the desire having been born. You stopped it. Like you see a car in an auto show, you see a red car, your eyesight touches it. So you go closer, and other sensories come into the picture. You touch the car, you sense it, you put the hood up, and you smell the new engine. You sit in the car, the smell of new car. You sit behind the wheel, and now all these sensors together makes you see yourself the benefits you receive, how you look in that car when you drive it. Maybe you'll have your girlfriend sit beside you. You imagine that, how your friends will look at you, what you feel when you're driving this car in the street or in the open air. And all those are now taken by the thoughts, and the image is created. Those images that I just talked to you about, how it looks, how you feel, and all that. And once that image is created, you say, I want to buy the car. I want this car. So if you can somehow stop yourself from the moment that all these sensors come to the picture, but stop it from turning into image, you've dealt with the desire and the impulse buying or whatever it is that is fascinated you to make an action or buy it or want it, or desire is born. And lastly, what is ego? Well, some people have this question all the time. So what is ego? Is ego an organ of yours? Is it like a kidney? Have you been born with it? Is it like a heart? Is it a limb? Is it something that comes along with you when you're born? Or is it a program, a conditioning, a culture, a system that you learn as you are growing through the environment and through what you see, what you hear, what you experience, and the traditions and the expectations and the rules and laws and bylaws and so on of the society and community they're raised in, based on your culture, religion, this and that, so forth, and many other things that you're exposed, that programming, expectations, let's say, according to your gender, and there's certain expectations of the behavior of that gender, so you pick all that, and based on all that, and suddenly you have an ego. And of course, part of it is the me that ego wants to protect, and the ego wants to be fluffed through fulfilling desire. Desire wants to fulfill through pleasure, and once it's fulfilled, then it actually is connected to the ego. That ego gets fluffed because I got the desire, I got what I wanted. And all these play a role with you functioning on your day-to-day life, and helps you or makes you or forces you or misleads you to make certain decisions or reactions that you do. So these are short discussions on all these little things, and of course there's a lot more to them. Then we can talk about motive, what motive is, and what mechanical process is, what order is, all these things that we will perhaps discover it or talk about it in a different video. Hope that was something for you to think about and ponder on, and hopefully it was enjoyable, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.